Stella Montis has received mixed results as the new map, and I think there's a lot of credit to both sides of the argument, and we're going to get to that. But before, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Arc Raiders' kind of impact so far. So Arc Raiders continues to build momentum. It continues to smash records. It continues to broaden its reach and be more and more of a appealing game to even those outside of the extraction shooter genre. It's really taken this category of game and placed it into a more highly visible part of the map, where before it was more of a niche thing. It was more Tarkov, Duckov, and it kind of had these other Hunt, Showdown. You had these other sort of games that they were fun, they were cool, but they didn't really have an appeal. It was more of like sweaty games, right? You didn't have the parents, you didn't have all of these different players that wanted to get into it because they felt the ramp was too high. Arc Raiders is sort of the generalized, come in and play and have a good time. So why am I talking about this? Well, it's going to lead into the next point of the conversation, which is the Stella Montis map is a big change from the previous maps that we had. So in the previous maps, which is obviously Dam, Blue Gate, Buried City, Spaceport, those were all topside maps that were very wide open. You had a lot of things that you could do. Depending on where you spawned in, you had the kind of the agency to pick how much risk do I want to take on. Do I want to be somebody who just wants to skirt on the outside of the map and pick up what resources I can? Do I want to take a higher risk for a higher reward to go to these high loot areas and get what I need to get? You sort of got to pick what your experience was, and I think that was part of the magic of Arc Raiders compared to other extraction shooters, where you sort of just got to choose your own adventure. Stella Montis changes that completely, and this is where I'm seeing a lot of the mixed results. When I asked, hey guys, what is your kind of initial thoughts on Stella Montis for those who have played it? A lot of people were saying chaos. It's chaos. I drop in, it's immediate PvP, a lot more PvP. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people are avoiding that map completely because they don't want any sort of PvP experience. Other people don't like it. It's too claustrophobic. Other people really do because there's more action. There's things to do. You're running into players more often. And it's really driving a pretty firm line between types of players, which I think is interesting. But this has also given rise to the, I'm not going to say dead conversation, but to the PvE mode conversation that we were previously going down, right? A lot of people were talking about this and they were bringing up, hey, we really need a PvE mode for all of us that just want to play the game and fight against the Arc. The devs had come out and said, we tried that, it's boring, we didn't want to do it, we didn't build a game around it. And I agree, I think the PvP aspect in Arc Raiders, which Stella Montis greatly magnifies, but I think the PvP aspect in this game is what drives the game's success. There is a tension in the game. There's a tension of seeing other players and not knowing their intentions. There's a moment where you and another player might be teamed up to go take on a higher tier Arc, or a group of individuals taking on a queen or a matriarch, and you don't know who's going to turn on who or if they're going to turn on you. You don't know if that person that you were just running and looting with will suddenly shoot you in the back because they realized you got into a locked room with a key and they know you have some loot. Those are the type of things that make Arc Raiders and other extraction shooters as fun as they are, because there's a sense of unknown. But there's also a sense of risk and reward. The reward, teaming up with other raiders, is you greatly increase your firepower and your potential to take down higher tier Arc. It makes the job easier and it's less of a strain on your resources, obviously. Then you have the risk. The risk is those players are going to betray you and take everything that you helped them loot and helped them earn. That's obvious. So when it comes to Stella Montis, now you have a map where that risk reward is completely thrown out the window because of how close quarters it is. It is constantly high risk, but the reward pendulums between low and high. Where before, you could kind of make educated sort of guesses or at least decisions based upon where you wanted to go for how much risk you wanted to take on. Now, Stella Montis, that risk is shoved down your throat with a funnel. So you better figure it out. And this has really kind of caused a lot of people to avoid this map altogether. For me, I like it. I think it's fun. I'm a former MLG pro. I played arena shooters back in the Halo days, all that fun stuff. So this is more my speed. But I wanted to propose something for the PvE folks out there. What if we had a map condition for PvE? Meaning, let's say we title it Ceasefire or Peace Treaty, something like that, where if you go to that map condition, you cannot shoot other players. Like, you can hit them, but it doesn't do any damage, right? And I think this would give you a determined space and point in time where you can go and engage in PvE only activities. Let's say they pair this with like a queen or something like that, where it's something you can go fight, right? If you just have PvE and it's just like wasps and hornets, that's not very fun. But let's say you have a higher tier arc where it's like, hey, peace treaty, ceasefire, let's go take on this larger arc boss. And then that gives players who want to do just PvE things a dedicated place where they can go do that. It's also going to be easier to implement because, again, Arc Raiders developers, Embark, they don't want to make a PvE mode. They've talked about it. They have talked about it ad nauseum, where this is just something they don't want to do. They're not passionate about it. They don't want to spend resources on it. And because of that, screaming for a PvE mode isn't going to get you anywhere. However, asking for a PvE map condition might. It's less resources. I feel, again, I'm not a developer, I feel like it would be easier for someone to go and do. I feel like it would be a little more simple for them to implement and just turn off friendly fire. Again, I'm greatly oversimplifying this, but I feel like that would be a little bit more feasible rather than making a full standalone PvE mode. Again, just throwing it out there. I'm curious what you guys think on that. But guys, as I've gone through and I've played through the Stella Montis map, those are sort of my initial thoughts about it. I like it. I think it's a good change of pace, but I understand where people are, I'm not gonna say upset, but where they're avoiding the map. Where, hey, the risk reward factor is completely out the window. It is high risk all the time. Reward is meh. You might get something great, you might not. I can't really pick and choose my battles. I can't pick and choose my adventure. I'm just thrown into immediate chaos, and I feel like I'm fighting for my life right off the spawn, which is another thing we need to keep a close eye on, that the spawn locations in Arc Raiders can be a little wonky sometimes. So that's another thing we'll talk about in another video. I don't want to get this one too long, but I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. What do you think about Stella Montis, and what do you think about the PvE map condition? I know I just kind of talked to you guys for a little bit, but I wanted to get my thoughts out there because people had been asking me about it, and I feel like I need to be a little bit more transparent about some of the things that I'm thinking and less so structured, I guess. Anyway, I just want to give you guys this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys so much for all of the Arc Raider support. You guys have been fantastic, and I will see you guys topside.